I'll play Mridanga and you play the cartels. You can play cartels? Of course. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balava Girivara Radhi Gopijana Balava Girivara Radhi Gopijana Balava Girivara Radhi Gopijana Balava Girivadadandi Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Chadi Tira Vanacha Yamana Tira Vanachadi Manatira Vanacha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Madhava Kunjabi Adi Gopi Jana Palabha Girivadadhadi Gopi Jana Palabha Gopi Jana Palabha Girivadadhadi Gopi Jana Palabha Girivadadhadi Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranjana Dana Brajajanaran Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Natira Vanachadi Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jayom Vishnu Pad Sapari Vijagacharya Astatara Satasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Ananta Koti Vaishnavarinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Premalandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading this morning from a very nice section of Canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam. Whose volume is this? Is this yours? It's well used. What? My daughter is using what? This is you? No? But look at it. It's well worn. Congratulations. So Canto 1, Chapter 7, text number 6, 1.7.6. Some of you like to follow along with the verse itself. And we'll chant responsibly, because even if you don't have the verse in front of you, it's really easy. This is from the background, before we chant the verse, the background is Vyasadeva has completed compiling all the Vedic literatures. Vyasadeva had looked into the future because he's Tri Kala Gya, meaning he can see all three phases of time. Kala means time. Tri Kalas, three phases of time. Gya, he is in full knowledge of past, present, future. He looked into the future. The time was towards the end of the Dwapara Yuga. He, being a Shaktivesh avatar, or empowered incarnation of Krishna, specifically the empowerment of compiling all the Vedas. So he began, because he understood the age of Kali, very dark age. And one of the darknesses is, we all know it too well, bad memory. Some people have a good memory, but most of us don't. And knowing that people would not be able to comprehend, what to speak of remember, the Vedas, he wrote it down. He took the one Veda, because originally the Veda is one, and divided it into 4. And then Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva Veda, and the Upanishads connected to give the philosophical background for those 4 Vedas. And then he compiled the corollary literature, the Smritis, the histories, and then at the conclusion, he compiled Vedanta Sutra, which is a summary of all the Vedas, the essence of all the Vedas. And having completed all this work, he did what everyone naturally does when you complete something. You step back from the something and you reflect on how did it come out. Supposing you're cooking, supposing you're making a painting, supposing you're anything, supposing you're Vyasa and compiling all the Vedas, how did it come out? So as he was reflecting on how it came out, he felt something. And the something he felt is described in different ways, but a kind of insufficiency, something's missing. He didn't feel satisfied. And in this contemplation of, why am I feeling dissatisfied? What's missing? His spiritual master, Narada Muni, paid him a visit. And nice exchange between disciple and guru, guru and disciple. And the guru said, Narada said to Vyas, Vyas, you look despondent. What's wrong? And I'm just paraphrasing here, but Vyas said, I don't know, but I think you know. So can you explain to me, why am I feeling this way? And that's the section. That's the background. So Narada instructed Vyas two things. You haven't sufficiently directly glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. It's there. It's within the Vedas. But you haven't sufficiently directly glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why you're feeling this way. Therefore, two things. Sit in a trance, samadhi, a trance of meditation on the Supreme Lord. And two, what you experience during that trance upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, take that experience and compose one literature that's just glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so he did. Narada left. Vyas went to the sacred river, touched water for purification, sat down in meditation. And these verses, this is one of the several verses towards the beginning of Canto 1, Chapter 7, where one can say these verses are the foundation, the basis of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, because these verses are expressing what he realized about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And our acharyas expand on that understanding again and again and again. There's lots and lots and lots of commentary on these verses again and again and again, because they're very important verses. And recently I discussed the first of those verses. And now we're going a little bit further. The first one is text 4. We're going to discuss text 6. So text 4 begins, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Samyate Amale. Amala. His mind, Amala, without any contamination, completely absorbed in Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak. Praniyate Amale. So he hit trance in meditation upon the Supreme Lord in bhakti. And then Apashat Purusham Purnam. Purusha means person. Purnam means complete. He saw the Supreme complete Personality of Godhead. Apashat. He saw. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of commentary on what he saw, which is the Bhagavatam. But Purusham Purnam means he saw the energetic, and he saw the energy, and he saw the whole spiritual world. Because the Supreme Lord is never alone. He's with everything in the spiritual realm. He saw it all. Apashat Purusham Purnam. Mayam Cha. We all know what Maya means, the illusory potency. Mayam Cha and Apashrayam. Specifically, Apashrayam means under his control. And the commentary says, we normally don't see the Supreme Lord because the Maya is in between our vision, us and our vision, and the object. Maya obscures or blocks our vision. So his vision wasn't blocked, which means, the commentators explain, she, Maya, was behind the Supreme Lord, under his full control. Maya is under his full control wherever she is. So he, the Supreme Lord, directed Maya, step aside. Let Vyas see my form. And Radha, and the associates of Krishna, and the whole of the spiritual world. He saw the whole shebang. So that's the first of these Chatur Sloki verses, which is expanded in detail and detail and detail within the Bhagavatam. Because the book, his assignment was, in trance, that vision that you have, write one literature that just expands on the personality of Godhead. So that's the first, text 4. Text 5, because we're headed for text 6. Yaya samohito jiva. Moha means bewilderment. And sam moha means big time bewilderment. Yaya samohita jiva. The living entity, the jiva, becomes super bewildered when the living entity, atmanam trigvadatmakam, they, although they're transcendental to modes of material nature, they think themselves as a product of material nature. In other words, body. In other words, that's Maya's influence. He saw all that. And he also then saw the mitigating process. When living entities are sammoha by the three modes, bewildered by prakriti and the three modes of material nature, what's the solution? Bhakti yoga. It's very, very basic. So that's this morning's verse, text 6. And if you can repeat responsively chant the verse. Anartha pashamam sakshad bhakti yogam adhoksaje lokasya janato vidvanks chakre satvata samhitam. One more time. Anartha pashamam sakshad bhakti yogam adhoksaje lokasya jannato vidvanks chakre satvata samhitam. Translation: the material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the Supreme Truth. So, the person narrating this is who? Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami is narrating what he heard from Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami is narrating what he heard from Vyas. So it's third person, he, being narrated by Sutta to the sages of Naimisharanya, so that the sages of Naimisharanya who asked, you were in the audience and you heard the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, can you summarize it, please? And so he obliges them. This is Sutta speaking what he heard from Shukadeva, based upon not only what he heard, but he studied in depth. Sukadeva Goswami studied in depth the entire Srimad Bhagavatam from his father. And the teaching here in this verse is, he, Vyas, having exactly this realization that we heard, and the mitigating process of the sammohita, becoming very bewildered. He knew what the bewilderment was, he knew the mitigating process, and now he's compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam. So just unpack that a little bit. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam is resting on these verses. Or these verses, when expanded, is the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's important to understand the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, and here it is. It's nicely packaged. And from that package comes many, many, many verses. So here's Srila Prabhupada purport. Srila Vyasadeva saw the all-perfect personality of Godhead. That's the previous verse, Apashat Purusham Purnam. This statement suggests that the complete unit of the personality of Godhead includes his parts and parcels also. He saw, therefore, his, that's Krishna's, different energies, namely, there's three categories, internal, external, and marginal. He also saw his different plenary portions and parts of the plenary portions, namely his different incarnations also. And he specifically observed the unwanted miseries of the conditioned souls who are bewildered by the external energy. Now these verses don't break it down, but the rest of the Bhagavatam does. And so we're getting a prelude to the rest of the Bhagavatam by unpacking what this verse says. Apashat Purusham Purnam is packed. That means everything. Because from the source of everything comes everything. We saw what the source was, and you saw everything. Like circuit overload, how are you going to see everything? We can see a part of everything. But he saw everything. The form of the Lord, the energies emanating from the form of the Lord, and these different categories of energies, and the marginal living entity being influenced by the external energy becomes bewildered. And he saw the mitigating process. And the literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, is amplifying that mitigating process, that is the bhakti yoga process. At last he saw the remedial measure for the conditioned souls, namely the process of devotional service. It is a great transcendental science and begins with, what does it begin with? Shravanam Kirtanam. Begins with the process of hearing and chanting the name, fame, glory, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For example, what we did yesterday evening, that was detailed about the Govardhan Leela, but that's an example of the linking process of Bhakti Yoga. And one who engages oneself in hearing and chanting the name, fame, glory, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's the revival of original consciousness, the mitigation of the suffering of the living entity. It's a nice package. It's what the Bhagavatam is recommending. And so we're encouraged to engage in hearing and chanting. Revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting. But it solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. Okay, so we don't have to worry about hearing and chanting. We just worry about the causeless mercy of the Lord. No, we do both. This is the Damodar Leela. It's effort and mercy. We make our effort proper, hearing and chanting effort, but that alone is not a mechanical. You do your hearing and chanting, and like a vending machine, you put your coins in the machine and pull the lever and down comes love of God. No. You have to put the coins in, you have to pull the lever. But the machine has to be loaded. And Krishna's mercy is essential. Say it negatively. Without Krishna's mercy, you can do all the mechanical and it's not going to be effective. Therefore, the message that's embedded in this and the whole of the Bhagavatam is both, please, engaging in prescribed duties and anticipate the kindness of Krishna will come to you. Why? Because Krishna is kind. The kindness of Krishna will come to you. Expect it. Pray for it. And what's the kindness of Krishna? It's restoring our relationship with him, which we have forgotten. How did we forget it? We turned our attention away from him. That's how it happened. Prabhupada's explanation. You turn your back to the sun, and what do you see? Shadow. And there's no two things. There's light and there's darkness. There's not a third thing. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. So his transcendental loving service is a manifestation of Krishna's mercy. Say it again. Devotional service is a manifestation of Krishna's mercy. We'll say the same thing in a different way. Bhakti has a personification, Bhakti Devi. Bhakti Devi is a manifestation or expansion of Srimati Radharani. She's the mercy personality. And she, Radharani, expands herself as Bhakti Devi. And Bhakti Devi may be instructed by Krishna, give your mercy. Give some service over there, because here's a sincere soul. Nice. So we have to be sincere, and in that being sincere, there's rendering of service with the expectation that Krishna's mercy will come. Well, the fact is that the service itself is Krishna's mercy. However, most of us are still in the mechanical zone. That is, we do something to get something, and this will bring that. It's not, the essence is not relationship, the essence is bartering or business. I do this, Krishna will do that. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. Many of you know the song. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. And that's not the relationship. That's the order supplier concept. I do this, I get that. But that's not the receiving what the verse is saying, what the whole Bhagavatam is saying. The verse is the springboard for the rest of the Bhagavatam. Is the mitigating process is not specifically do something, including the hearing and chanting something. But in other words, many people do the hearing and chanting for what? Because by hearing and chanting, it's punya, shravana kirtana, exactly in the language of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Punya shravana kirtana. However, by that, even the mechanically performed shravana kirtana, or hearing and chanting, vidhunoti sarit satam. Vidhunoti sarit satam. The heart or consciousness becomes purified. Vidhunoti. Su hrit satam. This is a great benefit to the living entity, getting purification. So it's something, even mechanically performed hearing and chanting, or bartering consciousness, hearing and chanting, is purifying. But it will not bring the ultimate result. and with the ultimate result, our loving relationship with Krishna becomes fully restored. So it's good to know that it's not, we should hear and chant, but it's not just the hearing and chanting. It's the kindness of Krishna through the agency of Radharani, through the agency of Bhakti Devi, to bestow devotional service upon us. And that devotional service is not just do something, it's do something, but it's not just do something, it's the devotion with which the something is done, or the spirit of wanting to please Krishna. Do you know some people, like I know some people, that they have an expectation, like, I'm trying to be a nice devotee, and I have my list of my expectations. And others and Krishna and circumstances should align with my expectations. And when my expectations aren't met, something happens. I'm feeling frustrated. Either there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with Krishna, or there's something wrong with the bhakti process. But it's the bartering consciousness, the order-supplier consciousness. And people struggle with it. Why is this happening? In terms of my expectation of getting something because I'm giving something. It's quite normal. It's quite standard. It's not the way to reach the position of happiness. Some said here Haritoshanam. Even with the prescribed forms of hearing and chanting, there is at once mitigation of the superfluous and unwanted miseries of material existence. Such mitigation of material affection does not wait for the development of transcendental knowledge. What does that mean? I'll read it again. Such mitigation of material affection does not wait for the development of transcendental knowledge. Earlier in chapter 2 of this Canto 1, earlier in chapter 2 of Canto 1, there was a discussion about Bhakti Yoga as being the prompt, or the causeless cause of the awakening of transcendental knowledge and detachment. Bhakti Yogena Manasi, this is this verse. Everything okay? Okay. Some of you know the verse. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojataha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam. Nice. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga. There it is again. Bhakti Yoga Madhoksaje. Same as in this line. Bhakti Yoga Madhoksaje. Same as this verse. So, Janiyati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahai. So, Bhakti Yoga is the foundation for the awakening of knowledge and detachment. In the Vedic texts, a standard, super standard couplet is knowledge and detachment, Jnana Vairagya, Jnana Vairagya, Jnana Vairagya, knowledge that leads to detachment, Jnana Vairagya. The statement here in this purport is, Bhakti doesn't wait for Jnana Vairagya. bhakti is the foundation for enduring and the soul's original knowledge and detachment. So bhakti yoga doesn't wait for knowledge. Supposing somebody's a child or something, and they really, they just don't know because they're a child, or they just don't know. And they engage in bhakti yoga somehow. They take prasadam, they hear a kirtan or something. They render some service, unknowing for service. It has an impact. It doesn't wait for knowledge to awaken. It awakens knowledge, or it removes coverings. And beneath those coverings, the original knowledge of the soul becomes awakened. It's just a way of saying bhakti is the foundation for transcendental knowledge. It doesn't wait for transcendental knowledge. It awakens transcendental knowledge. And what is transcendental knowledge? Knowledge of who I am, knowledge who is the source, knowledge of my relationship with the source. Engaging in devotional service. There's this nice passage from the biography of Bhaktisiddhanta. As we all know, Bhaktisiddhanta was this incredible intellectual luminary. Scholars from all over the place were coming to see him just to catch some of the light. He was so bright. One scholar came all the way from Europe because he had heard about Bhaktisiddhanta and he wanted to meet him. Doesn't say exactly what his purpose was other than meeting him, but he had some questions. He wanted to discuss his questions. So he went all the way to Bhaktisiddhanta's headquarters. At that time it was a little remote, Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, a little remote. And he made his way, he came to the Chaitanya Math, and he met some of the devotees, so he was introduced through his secretary to Bhaktisiddhanta. Bhaktisiddhanta said, I'm very busy right now. Can we speak a little bit later? You can just do something over there with my devotees. So he did that for some time. And then when Bhaktisiddhanta had finished, he invited the professor, the gentleman, to come see him. And when he did, the professor said, I got the answers already. Through the medium of devotional service, I got the answers. I mean, it wasn't exactly those words verbatim, but that's, I got the answers. That is to say, bhakti yoga is the medium for understanding. Supposing you have book knowledge without bhakti yoga, then you're not going to really understand. You may think you understand, but you're not going to really understand because real understanding arises from bhakti. So the statement here, mitigation of material affection does not wait for development of transcendental knowledge. Rather, knowledge is dependent on devotional service for the ultimate realization of the supreme truth, which is the essence of what this verse is saying. I'm going to need to use a restroom. Where's your restroom in the house? And I'll be right back. We'll have prepare your questions. Okay. I don't have to follow you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Comments or questions? Your thoughts on the verse or what you heard?
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Hare Krishna.
please accept my humble obeisance. Maharaj, I have a question like you are saying we should have bhakti, not Jai Jagadish Hare, right? So
Not
sometimes
what? Bhakti, not what?
Jai Jagadish Hare.
That's a pun because there are persons that sing that song, you know the song, and yet they have a whole wish list. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. I forget the little rhyme. You know who is Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj? Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj from South Africa.
No Maharaj. I
Durban,
don't.
South Africa. He's just a very nice devotee. And he has this little riddle. It says, a big house, a car, and a home by the sea, Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. I want this, I want this, I want that. Om Jai. So, I mean, that's not zero, but it's not what bhakti is. The essence of bhakti is we don't ask for stuff, we ask for service, loving service to the source of everything. So that was the comment, the Om Jai Jagadisha Hare comment. So now your question.
Yeah, my question is sometimes when we are leading Gruhastha life, we need some necessities or shortcomings. Some that time we will pray and ask, I need this, I need that to lead the life. So do we need to ask, or we should not ask and lead the life whatever I get it?
It depends on you. And let me ask you, as a parent, does your child have to ask you for something? Or are you prepared to provide something? And you're limited. Your God is unlimited. He is literally unlimited, and He is most loving, and He's the Father of all living entities. He supplies. Now, do we need to ask? No. Supposing one feels a need, is it okay to ask? It's okay to ask. Daddy, it's cold out. Can I have a jacket? It's okay to ask. But Daddy's got a whole, he's ready with jackets, plural. So more, an elevated state of relationship with a parent is the love between the dependent and the supplier. That's encouraged. Like, for example, in Bhagavad Gita, 4 types of pious men, Chatur Vidha Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritanarjana. And one of those 4 types is those that want something. They want mitigation. They're distressed, or they have a need. So they go to God because they're distressed or they have a need. Or then there's 2 others. They're curious, or they want the absolute truth. There's 4 types of pious people. So those persons may engage in devotional service. And is it devotional service to ask? Yes. Yes. Is there need to ask? No. What's the need? The need is bhakti. What's bhakti? No, it's not a 0, but it's not a 10. So therefore, the bhakti yoga process, the teaching of the Bhagavatam, is teaching us unmixed devotional service, or unalloyed devotional service, or amala bhakti, pure devotion. When there's pure devotion as opposed to the mixed devotion, then it's not that the relationship changes. Still, the father is the father and the dependent is the dependent, and the father is going to take care of the needs of the dependent. But the experience of a loving relationship is not going to be obscured by the odor supplier spirit. I don't have to worry. This is the higher consciousness post. I don't have to worry about my necessities. I mean, should I take care of my necessities? Yes. Be responsible, do your prescribed duty. And now, supposing there's a shortage of something, and on the personal scale or the broad scale, supposing there's drought. What to do? We can pray to God for rain. Or one can chant. You know the history? There was a period of time in Andhra Pradesh where there was a drought for several years. And boy, that was a big problem. And so, trying the seeding the clouds and science and stuff like that. The devotees made a public, risky, but they proclaimed, because according to Bhagavad Gita, you perform yajna and rain comes. So they performed massive sankirtan throughout the city of Hyderabad, and rains came after several years. And everyone went, wow, it works. Then it's to do something to get something. But supposing we don't do something to get something, you do something because it's nice to chant Krishna's name. It's the same as what's in the purport here. And that's the Shuddha Bhakti position. Supposing I'm not Shuddha yet, I'm a householder, and I'm not there yet. Now what do I do? So you can pray. Four types. So there's a pious people that begin devotional service, and then there's pure devotional service that's unmixed. So now, let's go back to your question. Recognize where you are. Don't imitate something that you're not. Recognize who you are, where you are in your spiritual trajectory. And according to your spiritual trajectory, you may say, my dear Lord Krishna, I know that you don't need me to ask you for something in order to supply that something, but I'm feeling in my responsible position as a householder, I mean, this is like a lot of words, but the spirit behind the prayer may be, let me come to that stage where my consciousness is so immersed and fixed upon you, that need I know will be taken care of anyway, so I don't need to approach you for stuff. But I'm not there yet. So, it doesn't have to say so many words, but the spirit of it is, yes, it's okay, but recognize there's further purification recommended in the whole of the Bhagavatam and the whole of the bhakti process. You probably know the verse. I'll remind you of the verse you probably already know. There in the whole of, could you just lean this way because we have eye contact and we're struggling a little bit. Thank you. The teaching of bhakti is summarized in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami. And there's one verse upon which the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu rests. And it's a definition of what bhakti is. And the first half is what bhakti isn't. The second half is what bhakti is. So the first half is Anyabhilasha Trishunyam Jnana Karma Janavratam. Why? Because it's bhakti if you have either, but it's not pure bhakti because bhakti is pure. It's mixed. So what then, if it's not mixed, then what is it? Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Ruttama. Bhakti is Uttam Bhakti. And Uttam Bhakti is Krishna should be pleased. Now, is a parent bothered when a child comes and says, Daddy, I'm hungry, or Mommy, I'm hungry. Can I have something to eat? They're not disturbed. But Mommy and Daddy have all provisions already. But it's okay. It's okay. And then instead, if the child number 2 comes and says, is there something I can do for you? Or they don't even have to ask, they can anticipate. Here's something I can do. That's bhakti. And one who does bhakti, rain will come, and necessities will come, and one doesn't have to worry. One will not worry, because necessities are known by the one who supplies necessities. Something else. You have something.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. One question I have is about everything was revealed to Vyasadeva. So did all the pastimes and everything came. So when the Bhagavatam was written, did Sukadeva Goswami expanded anything, or is it original from what Vyasadeva realized?
There's 18,000 verses. Is your question, when Shukadeva Goswami learned Srimad Bhagavatam from Vyas, was it 18,000 verses? That's your question. Or was it 17,000 and Sukadeva added some 10,000 or 1,000? It's in essence. Let's take the first canto. It's not Shukadeva Goswami spoke. It's Sutta Goswami speaking what he heard from Shukadeva Goswami. And that's a lot of verses in the first canto. Because the two don't meet until canto 2. Maharaj Pariksit and Shukadeva Goswami. They meet in canto 2. So the answer to your question is no. And it's in essence. Can the essence be expanded? Of course, the essence can be expanded. And it can be contracted or capsulized or sutraized or something. but it's still Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Something else? Okay, go ahead. Well, no one else is raising their hand, so go ahead. Okay, anyone else want to speak something?
Maharaj, about bhakti and knowledge, is it always bhakti which comes first, or is it sometimes bhakti, sometimes knowledge, Maharaj?
Which comes first, bhakti or knowledge? That's your question?
Correct, Maharaj.
Well, there's the reflection of knowledge which isn't complete. And so that may come first. But the realization, that kind of knowledge comes as a result of bhakti. Bhakti comes first. So I'm making a distinction between knowledge and realization.
Okay.
So let's say, you have a copy of Bhagavad Gita in your home. That's knowledge. Now, supposing you don't have bhakti, but you have Bhagavad Gita in your home. You have knowledge. But you haven't realized that yet, because it's realized through bhakti, with the book or without the book. Before Vyasa's realization or after Vyasa's realization. Vyasa had knowledge, and he had bhakti, but not sufficient, according to Narada's explanation to Vyasa. So,
Okay.
fullness of knowledge comes through bhakti. Bhakti comes first. One can have some knowledge, but it's not full, nor realized. So now what's full knowledge? There's no limit to it. Like his question about how many verses. No limit. No limit. Bhakti comes first for full knowledge. But then one can get a glimmer through, for example, we're reading verses right now, this verse from the Bhagavatam. We have some understanding, some inkling of what is being said, but it's not full. So proportionate to bhakti will have realization. In that sense, you can have knowledge before bhakti, but not so much realization of that knowledge, because so bhakti it's knowledge is dependent upon bhakti, not the other way around.
Thanks,
Okay,
Maharaj.
he got his memory back together again.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. About Bhakti Devi, who is actually Bhakti Devi? You mentioned it.
Actually, she's an expansion of Radharani.
Right.
She's a personality who bestows devotional service upon you and me and every one of us. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai,
Jai.
we say in our Prema Dwani prayers.
Right. But we don't directly worship Bhakti
We don't
Devi.
worship Bhakti Devi. We engage in devotional service. That's worship of Bhakti Devi. There's not a Bhakti Devi deity that we worship. We understand that she is Radharani. We worship Radharani, but we're not worshiping Bhakti Devi. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Maharaj. But following that is devotional service is manifestation of Krishna's mercy. Right? So how is that related to Bhakti Devi? Bhakti Devi is giving that mercy, or?
You're drilling, and you don't make it complicated. You don't have to make it complicated.
Okay.
Radharani is the manifestation of Krishna's mercy. In fact, one of the names of Krishna's internal potencies is the bestower of Krishna's mercy, Anukampa Shakti. Now that's a division of Radha. She, Anukampa Devi, is one of Krishna's internal potency Shaktis, who is an expansion of Radha. So, when you have these teachings, it's not like we have 8 Shaktis and we worship those. We just worship Radharani. She's the embodiment of everything. So don't go too far with this. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. And that means that's the aspect of Radharani, or the personality manifestation of Radharani's unlimited personality that manifests devotional service in our life. So we turn to Radharani. Thank you. Let me please you, let me serve you. And that means serve Krishna, because that's pleasing to Radharani. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Yeah, just up front. Just take turns.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I just want to know how chanting and
Your voice is strong, so hold the microphone a little further away.
knowledge, related.
How are they related?
Yeah, how do they, chanting and knowledge.
Chanting and knowledge.
Knowledge.
Chanting and knowledge.
Yeah, if I do more chanting,
Well, what's chanting? And then what's knowledge? So let's do definitions to see how they relate. Chanting is sound. We know that the sound of Krishna's name, which is for us chanting, or his pastimes or glories, etc., that sound is not different than the person whose this sound is about. The sound is not different than Krishna because Krishna is absolute. Now, that's what sound is. Now, sound, like the Vedas, that's feminine, right? And so with Krishna, that means Krishna's potency, because they're not separate ever. So with Krishna is Krishna's potencies, and that's embedded within Krishna's sound, or the sound is not different than Radha Krishna. That's what sound is. We can give emphasis to the Krishna part, but we should know Krishna includes. So we can express Hare Krishna or Hara Krishna or Radha Krishna. But just even saying Krishna, it implies, because Krishna is not alone. No, what's knowledge? You want to know the relationship between chanting and knowledge. Well, knowledge has different layers to it, but let's just take the layer that inherent already within the living entity. There's Chit. The living entity is Satchit Ananda, just as Krishna is Satchit Ananda, and we're tiny fragmental Satchit Anandas, tiny fragmental parts of Krishna. And with that tiny fragmental part of Krishna aspect of who we are, there's knowledge. Knowledge is awareness of what's what. So the relationship is the covering, two things. Very simple. Covering, remove. Awakening by sound takes place. That's this right in the verse, Shravanam Kirtanam. The awakening takes place. Coverings removed, awakening of who we really are takes place. Or the forgetfulness is removed, and then we begin to remember who we are. Like amnesia. And when amnesia wears off, then you start to remember, oh, that's me. That's the relationship. The medium to remember who we really are is through the medium of sound or chanting and hearing.
thank you.
Anything else? You had something.
Yeah, Maharaj. When I went to recently to the Texas book fair, so we put a book stall there, and one person asked, like, you tell me in a minute what is Krishna consciousness. Don't give me the lengthy answer, he told.
Don't give the what answer?
Lengthy answer. Lengthy
What's
answer.
a short one? What's Krishna consciousness?
Then I said, establishing our relationship to the Krishna, I said. And then he asked why only Krishna, and I started giving. Or will you suggest, Maharaj, like how we can, if any person asks that
Why only Krishna?
yeah, that is one question, or any other answer you will recommend to
No,
give.
that's
what?
nice. You know, he wanted a short one, so you gave him a short one. Now he's expanding the short one, which is okay. And so now, why only Krishna? Then you can say, I mean, there's many things you can say, but one of the things you can say is, what does Krishna mean? Krishna, no, I'm answering your question. You say to the person, what does Krishna mean? It's not only Krishna. Krishna means, here's the meaning. Krishna means the all attractive. That's the meaning. So we could put in another name besides Krishna. But he's all attractive. So another name is just fine. So here's here's a more expanded answer than the short one. Bhagavan means the supreme, and the Bhagavan has all opulences in full, and one who has all opulences in full, they're attractive. That's what Krishna's name means, the all attractive. Supposing there's somebody in this event that you know is like super duper wealthy. Supposing, drop a name, and he comes walking through this event. Everyone goes, wow, here comes Elon Musk. You know, he's mega wealthy. Because he's wealthy, he has some attractiveness to people. And then we can expand. So all those features of attraction, they rest in Krishna. That's the meaning. So you want another name? Fine. But Krishna is a nice name because it means the all-attractive one. So it's not only, it's that which is the source of everything, the all-attractive supreme person. But you wanted a short answer, sir. It's not only Krishna. It's the source of everything. And then there's something that comes from the source. Elon Musk and his wealth comes from the source. So be attracted to that. That's okay. But we're attracted to the source. That's what Krishna consciousness is, in a nutshell. In the succinct, you wanted a succinct one. No, it depends on the person that he'll say whatever he says after that. But it goes to the definition of what's the meaning of the name Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Romapada Maharaj ki